You all set to go?
I'm all set.
Cool. This is awesome. So, hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Behind the Brand. And today we have with us Jamie Sternberg. So great to have you with us. This is Dave Shimoleski, and this is DirectLine Media. And we are brought to you by our famous 60-second video, one price flat rate video package. So anyway, I always got to throw that in there because, you know, you just do. So
Yes.
Thanks for coming out.
Of course.
During our not so much lockdown anymore.
Right. Well,
Which
it's
is
good to get
awesome.
out of the house, even
Yeah.
though we are allowed to go more places these days.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
I don't think so I live in Simsbury. I don't think I've driven over the mountain into West Hartford since March.
Wow, really?
Yes.
Holy cow. Well, I'm just the opposite. I think I drove over the mountain, because I'm in West Hartford. I think I drove over the mountain to Avon. I didn't go as far as Simsbury once.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
See?
So, not as much traveling. But
I
I
don't
do
think-
come to the office.
I'm
so.
not sure people from West Hartford go over the mountain as much as we come over.
You're
to you?
You're probably right.
Yeah.
No, you're probably right. I like it over that way. We head to Collinsville when we
Okay.
get a chance. We like it over there.
Nice. Yeah.
And then there's a little place in Avon we go to, what's it called? A little restaurant there in that little shopping center. That's really descriptive.
What kind of restaurant is
It's
it?
it's not the Olive.
What kind of food do they serve?
So they serve, I don't know, regular American type food, some nachos, beer. It's in a shopping center, right on the base of the mountain. I don't know what road that is. Route 10 maybe?
Yes.
Right?
That's Route 10 there on the bottom of the mountain.
Yeah, the heck. Anyway,
I can't think of it.
I'll think of it.
Lime
It's-
Grill?
There it is. Lime Grill. I haven't been there in a long time.
I saw that they're not opening their outdoor patio till June. I looked at that this morning.
That's a bummer. Yeah, that's where we
Yeah.
go. Yeah, we go to they got a nice patio.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's fun. But that's where we go. We go over there and a couple other places. So
Okay.
yeah, other than that, we go south, Newington, and then the center every once in a while.
Yes.
So yeah, so it's good. It's good.
That's where we go when we come into West Hartford.
center?
The
Yeah.
center, or yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's strange how just quiet it is, or
Yes.
has been. I haven't been down since the reopen, so I'm assuming it's a little more busy. But
Yeah, I'm sure some of the restaurants have outdoor seating now, and maybe some of the shops are now open.
yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, there's been some social media stuff, back to work, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know what the customer's been like. Like, I don't know what that's like. Like, I think people are eager to go back to work, but I don't know how many people are eager to really jump in and.
I think the
Go
more liberal people are willing to go out and go to restaurants,
Yeah.
and people, it's just been such a divisive issue on,
It has been.
going back out into society.
It's crazy.
We would be willing to take our family out to like an outdoor restaurant to eat
Yeah,
at this point.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you.
And I think the kids are really anxious because they really have gone nowhere. I mean, my husband and I will go and get coffee or go to the supermarket, and they've been out in the yard in our house.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife bought me a bicycle for Father's Day. So it's a used old 10-speed Raleigh bicycle, really cool. It's like the one I used to have,
Yeah.
that I don't have any longer. So it needs a little bit of work, but it's actually in really good shape. So we've been bike riding 3 times, short little.
That's nice. I've been using my
trying.
bike that I bought in Burlington, Vermont 13 years ago,
Okay.
and it needs a little love. So I've been waiting for a bike shop to
Yeah.
reopen again.
So they're not open, because I was wondering that. So no bike shops
I
were
actually
open?
haven't looked into it. I just assumed that they were closed.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So my husband did what he could with it, and
Yeah.
it's been okay. But, sometimes the gears will get stuck while I'm riding.
Yeah. Yeah, my rear tire needs to be straightened, so I'm going to jump on YouTube and find out how to. I used to do that when I was a kid. That's all I
Yeah.
did as a kid, is I worked on my bicycle, but I forgot. So I'm going to jump on YouTube and
There you go.
figure out how to do that.
I think that's what my husband did when he
Yeah.
was like fixing my bike up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My older son learned how to be a mechanic strictly just on YouTube. And he's just, he's worked in shops and different things like that. So it's incredible. He got his first car. He jumped on YouTube, and he's changing out transmissions and all sorts of other things. Just, I mean, it's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
It's amazing what you can learn on YouTube.
Oh, right, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So much content out there,
It is.
which we're going to talk about a little bit today. So
Okay.
You work with Sanders and Silverstein.
So it's Saunders and
Saund-
Silverstein.
Okay, good. Saunders and Silverstein, thank you. And you are trademark copyright attorneys.
Yes.
Is that fair to say? Let me turn all my beeps off
That is
here.
fair to say.
Cool. And I have you down. I looked you up, and we've talked before, but you're sort of like the enforcer.
I am the enforcer.
Cool. Yeah.
That's funny. No one's ever called me that.
Yeah.
I like that.
But I was reading your little bio, your little description, and I was like, oh yeah, she's the enforcer. Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how why you're the enforcer? What do you do?
So I'm a trademark and copyright and domain name attorney, and I got interested in this in 2000, when the whole Napster issue was happening. And so that's when I started, my first love was like the copyright law. And I went to law school in 2002, and I knew that I wanted to go to law school for intellectual property law. So I went to Franklin Pierce Law Center, which specialized in intellectual property law, and continued to do that once I got out of law school. I was at a general practice law firm when I started. And then a couple of years after that, I went to a law firm in Vermont where I focused exclusively on trademarks and copyrights and intellectual property litigation. I also did some patent transactions when I was there as well, but have been focusing on this area of the law for, almost 15 years now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Napster. I remember in our other house in the basement, because that's where the computer was set up, setting up a whole queue of music to download, and I'd go to
Yes.
then it was dial-up, and then I'd go to bed, and I'd wake up, and like half of them would be canceled or
Yep.
something, and I'd go, and then some would be garbage. I'd throw them away anyway because they wouldn't sound good. Napster
Right.
it changed everything.
That was
Yeah,
the
it's
thing,
crazy.
yes.
Yeah.
And then, everything was free, and there
Yep.
was everybody was out there in the wilderness downloading, and that changed everything.
It was insane. And you go to different, I remember you could search the different, like this guy had a really fast upload or whatever. There's all these specs you could check with all the people who shared,
Yes,
right?
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd go like, oh, that guy's no good. That's going to take too long. So I'd find the next guy.
And then
Oh, yeah.
everybody was putting all of their entire music library
Yeah.
onto Napster.
Yeah.
Like uploading all of their CDs.
Uploading everything, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was pretty nuts. And then I think Metallica, they're the first ones to bring a lawsuit against Napster. Were they responsible for shutting them down, or did they start the whole thing?
Oh gosh, I don't remember that. My husband would probably know because he's probably Metallica's biggest fan
Okay.
still.
Awesome.
I don't remember that detail.
Yeah, I remember there was a lot of stuff going on. Was it Lars? Yeah, was all over it. And but Napster changed the way we
Did.
consume music.
Yes.
I mean, now I miss, but records are coming back a little bit. I mean,
If you have them.
Yeah.
Are they being sold? New records?
Not like everywhere, but yeah, there's a shop across the hall that sells records here. If you go to shows, sometimes they have records.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I went to a show and I bought a record. It was ridiculously expensive, but I'm like, I gotta have it because it's cool. So.
And also around that time, I was in college and I had an internship at Monster.com. Remember it was that?
Yeah.
So that was like 2000. It was 2000, and that was really like the .com boom, time period. And I was working in the marketing department there, and I was shadowing someone in the marketing department as they were talking to the in-house attorney about how someone was stealing from Monster.com's database. And I realized that I would have rather have been shadowing the attorney as they were dealing with the legal side of that issue rather than the marketing dealing with the marketing sort of side of that issue. And that's when I was like, I thought I was going to go into marketing and advertising, and that's really, that internship, even though I was in the marketing group, that's what sort of finalized my decision to go to law school.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool where things take you, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And, my brother and sister had gone to law school, and so I was sort of pushing back on also going to law school.
Yeah.
But I realized that's really where my passion lies.
Inevitably, it's in the blood, I guess, right?
Yeah,
You
it is definitely genetic in our family.
gotta- Your folks attorneys?
My mom and dad were not attorneys. My mom should have been an attorney. I encouraged her for a long time to try to go to law school, and she never wanted to do it. She always felt it was too late in her career, but
Yeah.
she would have been a great attorney.
Yeah.
And my husband's an attorney.
Wow.
And my sister-in-law is also an attorney.
Wow.
So there's a lot of
There's a
attorneys
lot of
in our
attorneys.
family.
What does your husband practice?
He's in insurance law. He's in-house at Beasley, which is located in Farmington.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you deal a lot with, well, copyrights, brands, things like that. So what takes up most of your day? I mean, or week, or month, whatever time period would be sufficient.
I am helping clients mainly get their trademarks registered. So I will be helping to file the trademark application, which means helping to figure out so trademarks consist of brand names, logos, slogans, primarily. They can consist of other things. And so if someone, for example, is using a logo and a brand name, do we want to register the logo and the brand name? Most likely you want to focus on doing at least the brand name and get a standard, what's called a standard character trademark registration that will cover the use of that wording in any color or stylization. But sometimes, in some cases, it's more beneficial to do the logo because maybe the wording is descriptive. And so to at least get a registration on the primary register for the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, sometimes it's more beneficial to the logo. So I help clients sort of figure that out. And then, sometimes before we file the trademark application, you want to do some trademark searching to figure out if your mark is available for use and registration. So I will be doing trademark searches with clients prior to filing. So that also takes up my time as well. Trademark searching is important because common law trademarks also exist in addition to registered trademarks. Trademark use develops based on use of a mark in commerce. So once you start using a brand name, logo, or slogan in connection with a good or a service, you start developing rights that you can enforce. But those, what's called common law, those are common law rights because they're not registered. You're just starting to use a mark like DirectLine Media in connection with your video production services. And those rights are limited geographically. So they're a little bit more difficult and a little more expensive to prove if you're trying to enforce your mark or litigate. But a lot of people don't register their marks. So there's these common law marks out there and there's these registered marks out there. And so that's why it's important to do a trademark search prior to deciding, whether you want to use a mark and investing money in promotional materials and building consumer goodwill. So we're, advising clients on what level of searching they need to do. We're reviewing the search results. We're conducting the searches. And then once that's clear, I'm helping people with the trademark application process.
What would be a trademark in my company? Would it be my logo?
So it would be DirectLine Media would be your word mark. And then, is that the stylization that you use it in? I'd probably,
it's better behind you, but same thing.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So you could potentially register that logo as well, the stylization of that mark. But yeah, that would be, your brand name would be your DirectLine Media and then your associated logo. Okay. And then a video production company, that's just sort of a tagline that describes your business.
Yeah, so I couldn't.
You wouldn't register that. That would not be registered.
I could still use it, but I just can't because it's too common, right? I can't just register that.
The U.S. Trademark Office won't register descriptive marks.
Gotcha.
And you can't enforce a video production company because other people need to use it to describe their business.
Gotcha. Yeah, so before I did that, I did a bunch of searches, just Google searches. You probably have fancy tools to do searches, but I just did a Google search and I couldn't find it. I mean, there was other ones, but there were two words and there was no video production companies that I could find that popped up in Google. So I don't know how. So I'm sure you use something else besides Google. What do you mean?
Well, yes, we do offer something different than Google, but I definitely recommend that people do a Google search as they're thinking of the brand name that they're going to use for their business. And then an attorney can we do a preliminary search that's a search of the U.S. Trademark Office online records for, applications and registrations, and we'll do a Google search as well. And we can also, if you do your own Google search, we can help you interpret, like if you think something comes up that's going to be potentially a risk, an attorney can sort of help you interpret that result and let you know what they think the risks are going to be. Because a lot of times people will see other businesses using the same name that they're interested in, and they think that's a conflict. But if this business is doing something completely different, or there's 10 other businesses with similar names, then the risk is probably pretty low.
Yeah, I just didn't want somebody with the same name. It wasn't. I mean, it had nothing to do with the way I was thinking. It had nothing to do with really infringing. It was more of just, he's got that name already. Like, I want my own name. So that's what that was about. So is it too late now for me to go and register? Would it be a good idea for me to register this?
Yes. I mean, I don't think it's ever too late to get a trademark registration, because it will make litigation easier for you. How long have you been using your mark for?
December 2013.
2013. So at this point, I would probably say if no one has ever objected to your use of this, then you could probably skip at least. So I haven't talked to you about that comprehensive search that we also do. You could probably skip that comprehensive search, and maybe we would just do a very quick search of the trademark office records before we file to make sure there's no one using DirectLine Media that's already applied for that, because then your application is going to be knocked out pretty quickly. No, I mean, registration is beneficial at any time. It gives your company the ability to expand the business nationwide, whereas those common law rights would be geographically limited. So where you have consumer goodwill, so your rights may be limited to Connecticut and New York and Massachusetts, for example. But if you're planning to expand this podcast, for example, you want to start promoting it all over the country, it's a really good idea to have that trademark registration. It provides priority rights nationwide based on your filing date. And then, of course, you have your rights, your common law rights that would date back to 2013.
That's interesting. You said promoting all over the country. Well, because this is on YouTube and Spotify and everything, so I don't necessarily actively promote it. But I do promote it on social media, and that's everywhere. Right. So what differentiates that kind of promotion? Is it specific targeting somebody in a different state somewhere else? So,
for example, if someone started using DirectLine Media in Washington State, you would have to rely on your common law rights, and you would have to demonstrate that, okay, it's available all over the country, but that doesn't mean you actually have consumer recognition in Washington State. So that's why it makes it sort of more expensive and more challenging in litigation to argue that issue, whereas having a trademark registration may potentially make it easier. I mean, you still sort of have to demonstrate, that you have sort of entered the Washington State market, for example. But it makes your position stronger.
Even if it's registered?
If it's registered, it makes your position.
I would still have trouble if I'm not actively in.
Potentially.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But there's still significant advantages to registration.
Yeah.
Another one being, for example, you can base your U.S. registration, you can base a foreign application on your U.S. registration. So you could, for example, if you were interested, if you had some listeners in Canada, it would make it easier to enforce your rights in Canada. You can use the R in a circle. It deters other people from adopting marks similar to yours because you'll be on the U.S. Trademark Office registry, and it'll be easy to find you.
And that's something I would want to put. Is that something I would legally have to put, or something I would just want to put anyway if it was registered? And what's the difference between that and the TM?
You don't have to put the R in a circle. if your mark is registered. But if you do it and your mark isn't registered, that could be considered fraudulent.
Okay, gotcha.
A TM or SM can be used next to anything, no matter what. For in connection with a
Interesting.
common law mark before a mark is registered.
So I could put a TM next to my DirectLine Media, and that would be fine.
Yes.
And that what would be the benefits of that? Why would I want to do that?
And a TM, technically, I mean, most people just use a TM, but technically TM means trademark and SM means service mark. And the reason that people do that is, and people will do it in connection with, for example, arguably descriptive marks, because they want to show that even though this mark seems descriptive, we're using it, we want to start to build those trademark rights in it, and we're using it as a mark. So it sort of puts people on notice that you're sort of adopting this as a mark, and it could potentially deter them from maybe using, a descriptive term, or you haven't registered a trademark, and maybe you don't plan to, or you're in the registration process, and you sort of want to put people on notice and deter them from adopting a similar brand name, slogan, or logo for their business.
Have you come across folks that trademark with the TM a logo or a name or something like that that's the same name of or similar enough to something that's been registered?
Yes.
Yeah, all the time. So what happens there? What do you? That's where the enforcement part
Yes.
comes in. So what's
So
that
either,
process?
well, so I've obviously been on both sides of that.
Okay.
So clients with either common law rights and a mark or registered rights will see someone using a similar trademark for similar goods or services, and we'll send them a demand letter. Or they'll see that someone's filed an application that's similar to their common law or registered mark. And if it's a registered or they've applied to register it, sometimes the trademark office won't cite that prior trademark application or registration against like a newly filed application, because the trademark office won't register a mark that's too similar to a previously applied for a registered mark with like a later filing date, an earlier filing date. So we'd have to potentially oppose that application. There's a 30-day publication period before every trademark is registered. Every trademark that's being filed on the principal register. And during that 30-day period, you can either extend the time to oppose that application as a third party with prior rights, or you can oppose that application, and that goes through an administrative process, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. So there's those opposition actions, and then there's the infringement actions that you can file in court. And those are two separate things that those are two separate sort of enforcement type matters that we handle.
That was my next question. So do you go to court a lot? Is this something that you end up going to court for, or not so much? Is it try not to?
Trademark cases tend to settle before things will definitely get filed. The complaint will be filed. Maybe there'll be some initial pleadings back and forth and some discovery, but a lot of times before trial, trademark cases will end up settling because either someone will just decide to give up a mark and rebrand, or the parties will come up with what's called a coexistence agreement, where both parties still continue using the marks they're using, and they decide to say, okay, well, you're gonna stick to California and Washington State, and we'll stick to Connecticut, New York, and so there won't be any consumer confusion between our two marks. Or I'll always use my wording with a logo. So the parties will come up with ways to sort of distinguish their marks so that consumers won't be confused and think that the source of one service is the other company.
Do you mostly come across people with like the same name, I guess, or the same logo? I mean, how common is that somebody has like a very similar logo?
That is more on the rare side.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yes.
So it's more of like a company name or a slogan or that kind of thing.
Usually if someone has a similar logo, they're specifically trying to tack onto the goodwill of tag onto the goodwill of the prior company.
Right.
But it's always possible.
Just So some of these I don't want to call anybody out, but there's some car dealers that you see them driving down the road, and you think that it's a different car manufacturer, when in fact it's not. So, for instance, car manufacturer A will produce this car. It's been on the road for a number of years, and then all of a sudden you start seeing this other car that's very, very similar, but it's a different car. So, my question would be: is design like something that's design? Is there sort of trademarks and copyrights with different designs in that? It's like objects, like cars.
So
or
you're
things.
talking about the design of the car,
It's the actual,
like the aesthetic of the car.
The aesthetic, the design, the exterior appearance of the vehicle. Yeah, when it's driving down the road. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you can get a design patent for the way that a product looks, as long as it's not functional. So I would think that would fall under a design patent.
Okay.
And then potentially, if the outside of a car is distinctive enough, you can also get a trademark registration for it if you can show that it's what's called acquired distinctiveness, that consumers recognize that particular shape of a car as originating with a particular manufacturer.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of cars are the same shape just because of aerodynamics, right? I think that's just because everything looks the same now.
Yeah.
But it goes beyond that. Then it's like a very similar grille, or the headlights are the same, or so that's what you would be focusing on. Not so much the shape, but more of the design aspect.
Yeah,
of it,
and it would only be the design aspects that are not functional. So you would have to demonstrate that there is no functionality at all to the design elements you're trying to claim.
Gotcha.
Either for design patent or trademark.
Gotcha. That's awesome. So, a lot of research is what you do.
Yes, we do research for prior marks, helping clients through the application process. So I sort of started talking about that. So we help people decide, what they need to file for, whether there's going to be a conflict with a prior common law mark or registered mark. And then we craft the identification of goods and services for the application. There are 45 classes of goods and services for every kind of good or service that you could offer. So it has to fit into one of these 45 classes. We help clients determine what class they need to be in, and then prepare the list of goods and services to fall within the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office identification manual. So the wording is very particular. And we want to make sure all the goods and services that they're offering in connection with a trademark are covered in the application, and that they're worded broad enough. And the U.S. Trademark Office is very strict about sort of broad wording. Like, you can't file for example, just software. You have to say what kind of software it is and the function of the software. So downloadable or non-downloadable, and to be used in connection with uploading videos.
Okay.
For example, so we help people with that. And if we know that there's a potentially conflicting mark, it's helpful to have an attorney preparing these goods and services so that we can potentially write them to avoid the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office citing that mark that we think could be a conflict.
So you work with somebody. They say, I want to trademark this, and you look, and there's a conflict. So you would help them sort of reword it, redesign it, whatever they need to do to make sure that it's, stands on its own, I guess, would be.
Yes.
So you have to have that work actually works well because you have a marketing background.
Right?
Yeah,
I've gotten to have a marketing background because of this.
Probably helps,
yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the mark needs to be, if there's any sort of design elements, it needs to be described in the application. And there's other sort of nuances of the application where it's helpful to have an attorney preparing it. Like, you don't always need to provide a translation of the mark if it's not a foreign wording. You may want to describe it in a certain way that's, broader than what you think you would need to describe it if you're filing it on your own. Based on 15 years of doing this, I know all the nuances. I've worked with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office for years, so I just know kind of what you need to do to get the application from filing to registration as smoothly as possible.
So it's probably worth hiring somebody like you if you want to do that, just because why learn? Because I would have no idea where to start.
And when consumers when business owners do it on their own, typically there's going to be a problem anyway, so you're going to have to end up hiring an attorney, and you could end up spending more money than you would have in the beginning.
That's usually how it goes, yeah.
But certainly the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office makes it easy for business owners to do it, and they do provide a FAQ section, where there's questions,
Sure.
and so they do try to make it consumer friendly. If you're filing a pretty straightforward application, it is possible to do it yourself. And then if down the line, so at about 3 months after filing, an examining attorney at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office will review the application. They'll review the goods and services, the description of the mark. They'll review if there's any applied for or registered marks with earlier filing dates that could be a conflict. And then they'll issue an office action if any of those things become an issue. So an attorney could help argue around any issue that's raised with a prior mark. So that's called a likelihood of confusion refusal, because the policy of trademarks is basically that you want to prevent consumers from being confused. Consumers need to know that what they're buying is from the company that they think it is from, and
Gotcha.
not from another company.
Gotcha, yeah. What would be some good things for people to do if they're starting a business and they want to come up with a slogan, a name, a logo? What what are some distinctive things they can do to their name to prevent somebody else from copying them, or them maybe copying somebody else? What are some things they can think about?
Sure. The first thing that a business owner wants to think about is not adopting a mark that's considered descriptive. They're going to have a difficult time registering that mark, and they're going to have a difficult time enforcing a mark like that, because other people, like you use the tagline, a video production company. Other people need to use that to describe their businesses. So they're not going to be able to prevent anyone from using that tagline. If someone adopts a mark like bathroom and kitchen center for their company, that's not going to be distinctive enough to enforce. So there could be a company with that name in every state in the country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So companies want to think about adopting what's called at least a suggestive mark that can describe some aspect of their business while not directly describing it.
Okay.
Like DirectLine Media, could potentially be considered a suggestive mark. I think it's because you're providing, you want to convey that you're being direct.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm not sure how line would describe your business, but
so it came up with the tagline, which I still use. It's on my website, I think, is "We're your direct line to success."
Okay.
So yeah,
Nice.
so it's a direct line. So
Okay.
we were sitting with. It took me a long time to come up with that name, but it kind of just stuck, and I like it. So, but I do have the famous 60-second video. So what about marketing
Yes.
video made simple? Would that be
Let's talk about the famous 60-second video.
okay?
How long have you been using that?
If I had to guess, I'd have to go back and look. So probably a little over 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Right now that's on the line of being descriptive. And maybe people wouldn't consider that a trademark. It's sort of laudatory, but it could potentially become a trademark.
Okay.
If you continue to use it. It could potentially be registerable on what's called the principal register with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office if you have 5 years or more use of that.
Okay.
And potentially you'd have to provide other evidence that consumers recognize it as associated with you and no other company. So, for example, survey evidence, media evidence, sales and advertising figures, or it could potentially be registerable on what's called the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office Supplemental Register. And that's where marks that are arguably descriptive can be registered and potentially be registered later on the principal register. I like to say that marks on the supplemental register go there to sort of grow up, where they go and you can get it registered. You can use the R in a circle, and then you can by having this registration, it is a deterrent to other people potentially from adopting your mark. So it's potentially registerable on the supplemental register, but you probably need to build some more consumer recognition in it.
What about that was famous 60-second video, right? What
Yes.
about marketing video made simple? What about that one?
That's probably registerable as a slogan.
Okay. I haven't seen anybody else using that. See, that one I think would be, that I think somebody would pick that up. It's probably being used somewhere else. If I had to guess, I would think somebody else is using something similar. What if
Probably.
it's, what if,
It may not, that may not be so easy to enforce.
yeah. What if it's the same words, but just in a different order?
So the standard for trademark infringement is likelihood of consumer confusion.
Okay.
So the marks just have to be similar and used in connection with similar goods or services. And so if the wording is used in a different order, consumers could still potentially be confused
Okay.
between the two marks, because usually they won't have the two marks side by side. And so if they see someone else's mark that's similar to yours with a different order of words, they could think that mark is your mark, and that could be the potential grounds to send that company a demand letter.
Is there any, like, that happens? So I'm sure you have cases where somebody says, well, I've lost, well, is that what the lawsuits are based on? Like, I've lost X amount of dollars because this guy is, infringing on my trademark, and people think that he's me, and customers go there instead of calling me up, and so he's taking all this business?
So lawsuits are, that's an interesting question. Generally, the first thing that people do with trademark infringement actions, if it's a really serious case of infringement that really needs to be stopped immediately, they'll file for an injunction, and it's more about getting that company to stop doing what they're doing, and then kind of focusing on, winning. You could potentially focus on winning the whole infringement action, or coming to some sort of monetary settlement before you even get to trial, where there could potentially be damages. And the Supreme Court actually just issued a case a few weeks ago that made it easier for plaintiffs to get damages in a trademark infringement action. It's been historically very difficult to get those damages unless the plaintiff can prove willful infringement.
So you're not going after damages, you're just going after, for the most part, just stop using.
That's generally, and getting attorney's fees could be difficult as well. So generally, if someone's gonna initiate an infringement action in court, which can be very expensive to litigate, they're doing it to get the other party to stop. They're not usually the goal isn't to get the infringer's profits. That would be great if you, obviously a great advantage, but that's generally not the goal.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. You just want them to stop using the trademark or what have you.
You just want to stop,
Yeah.
Because you know that obviously they're making profits off of, if they are, specifically trying to piggyback off the goodwill, then there's probably profits out there that are related to that infringing use. If it's someone who just, say you adopt the DirectLine Media and you didn't know about the other party, there's an argument that the other party could get damages, but it's a little bit more difficult to prove.
Yeah, that would be hard to rebrand that significantly, like your whole name.
Yes.
I wouldn't want to be in that position.
That's why I tell people, if you've been using a mark, you've been using yours since 2013, you're probably okay. You don't need to do a search. But if someone's really early into their business, or they're just trying to decide what their brand name is, I think it's really crucial to do that search before you invest in promotional materials and building that consumer recognition. Because, for example, Lime Grill had to rebrand.
They did. I remember that. Yeah, that's funny I brought that up. I forgot about that. They did have to rebrand. But the rebranding wasn't it was slight. I think they had to change a letter, or I mean, it was really small, wasn't it?
Yes, I just looked into this because someone else was asking about it. They got a demand letter from a company who had a trademark registration, but the company only had franchises in like the southeast part of the country, like nowhere in the northeast. And without demonstrating that they have a restaurant in the same sort of geographic area as Lime Grill, even with the registration, I'm not sure they would have been successful in an infringement action, but having the registration and sending the demand letter was enough probably for them to work out a settlement with our Lime Grill.
Okay.
So that they made an adjustment to their name, and it really wasn't much. They just changed the spelling from, I think, like Lim to Lym.
I think that's what it was, yeah.
But still, they didn't have to do a lot of sort of reintroducing consumers to what their brand is. Because LYM and LIM are still confusingly similar. It's basically still the same.
It's basically the same thing, and because it's those things like, I thought it was always spelled Li. Oh, I guess I was wrong, right? If they don't even have to know what happened, they could just think they're misspelling it.
But that might have been enough because the menus were also very different with the two establishments. It just might have been enough for this other company. And I think that our Lime Grill also may have made adjustments to their logo, so that may have been part of the settlement agreement that they worked out. It just may have been enough to have the other restaurant back off.
You know, thinking, because we were there in both times, before and after.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I think it actually benefited them because I think they took the Y and they made it like a martini glass, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
And I think they actually talked it up on social media, say, hey, this is what's going on. And so, you know, I think they actually used that to their advantage.
Yeah, I actually went back to their original post from however many years ago on their Facebook page to kind of look at, you know, what they were posting about at that time. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, it's because it's an interesting place. But
so I also wonder whether they did a trademark search prior to adopting their mark, and whether if they did, whether seeing this other restaurant franchise would have deterred them from adopting that mark in the first place. So that's why it's important to do the trademark search while you're thinking of a new name for a product or a service that you offer, or a new name for a business, or you're thinking about rebranding your logo.
It's amazing during my search how many names I thought of. Like, nobody's going to have that one.
And they did.
Oh my God, there's so many.
Everyone always thinks
crazy.
they're so clever.
Yeah, no, there's so many. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like nobody's going to name their restaurant Lime Bar or whatever it is. Sure enough. Yeah, it's just funny.
And in terms of microbrewing, there's so many microbrews popping up all over the country that they've been having, these breweries have been having a hard time coming up with names for the breweries and for their beers, because they're competing with all the other beers, or competing with the names of wine. And sometimes the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office will consider like wine and beer similar to the name of liquor, or then there could be a potential conflict if your beer is the same name as a restaurant. So there's a lot to think about.
So what if, like there's New Park Brewing here. What if they created a beer that was called, I don't know, I can't think of the name, you know, Sunny Lager. I don't know, just made that up. Might be good. And then there's a wine company that has a wine called Sunny, you know, Chardonnay or something like that. Would that be a possible infringement, even though they're two different products?
Yes. Really? Because the same consumer could be buying wine and beer and think that they're connected. I mean, if they're one's sitting across from the other at a liquor store, you could potentially think that this beer company has expanded to wine. But the wine company has a different name. Oh, I thought they were both Sunny.
So New Park Brewing has see, wine really doesn't do it, right? So wine just has like Woodbridge Chardonnay, right? Like it's the winery and then it's the name. But what beer companies do is different. They have, especially the microbrews, they'll have like New Park Brewing, and then they'll have a name for each of their different beers. It'll be like Sunny Lager. It'll be like, you know, True and Trusted Ale or whatever. You know, they come up with all these quirky names. So I don't know if wine companies started doing that. Like, so if Woodbridge came up with Woodbridge's new Suddy Chardonnay, you know, like.
I mean, I think if there was a Woodbridge wine and a Woodbridge beer, that would be a conflict.
That would be a conflict. Yeah, that makes sense.
Or if they're using a similar packaging, coloring and a similar design on their packaging, even if there's maybe a different name, that could be a conflict. If they had, that would be called what's called similar trade dress.
You can't trademark. You can't go after somebody because they're using the same colors. So I use like right, stupid question, but I use
It's not a stupid question.
So I use like a not DirectLine Media, it's black and white really, but the other part of my business, the 60-second video, that uses, I don't know, what do I use, like a yellow and like a green, something like that. So if there's another production company that started doing a similar product with those colors,
again, you would have to show acquired distinctiveness in those colors. Though I'm laughing because there was a case that just came out at the beginning of the month about this. That's saying that colors could be potentially deemed inherently distinctive without having to show that consumers recognize a color as associated with a business. And that case was specifically referring to the use of color on product packaging. And it was a multicolored mark. So it was almost as if it was a logo because there was multiple colors in it. But for a very long time, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office would not register a mark that's a color.
okay,
Like the pink color of insulation is an example, is a registered trademark. And that would not have been registerable without showing, and it has to be a big showing with a lot of evidence that consumers recognize pink as associated with one particular producer of insulation.
really?
So color was never what's called inherently distinctive, and that means not having to make the showing of like advertising, expenditures, sales, media, survey, showing that consumers recognize color as specifically associated with a certain business. So the USPTO would say color is never inherently distinctive for a product, for the color of a product or the packaging used in association with a product. So that sort of changed with this decision at the beginning of the month, where it's now possible for a color mark to be inherently distinctive, at least for product packaging. And product packaging has been deemed analogous to using a color in connection with a service,
Okay.
which can be inherently distinctive. So, but I still think it would be very challenging for you, to demonstrate. You would still sort of have to demonstrate that you have this consumer recognition in your color, your service.
Yeah, I like the colors, so I picked them.
Well, and in
Yeah,
terms of the
obviously.
colors that have been registerable in connection with businesses, it's more about the trade dress. So, like the way that a restaurant looks.
Okay.
Like there was this case called Taco Cabana, and it's about a Mexican restaurant, or the way that an Apple store looks. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
all the elements are put into that application, and when you put in all those elements together, those can be deemed what's called an inherently distinctive mark.
So if there's another computer store, let's say like a local IT guy who maybe sells computers and does some IT work, and he has an office space and he outfits it the same look as the inside of an Apple store.
I
Can't do that?
believe Apple has a registration
Get out.
for the way that their Apple store looks, so they could send a demand letter on that.
Wow. I was scrolling through, I don't know, one of the Facebook or something. And so I put out these social media things where there's been a bar of green on top and green on the bottom. And then in the middle, because it's square, I think it was Instagram, so it was square. And then in the middle was a regular video frame with, it was a marketing thing with stuff. So I'm scrolling through and I saw an ad for, I don't know if it was an insurance company or something like that, exact same layout. I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's exactly what I do. Same color too. That was the thing, was same color.
Yeah, and so, I mean, there are arguments that that could just be deemed sort of your logo. But then, you know, you're going to have to demonstrate, well, you're a video production company and they're sorry, what did you say it was?
I think it was an insurance.
An
I
insurance
don't
company.
really remember. Yeah.
So there probably wouldn't be any likelihood of consumer confusion between
Yeah.
the two businesses.
I mean, it's sort of a, it's not like a unique design either.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more of a fix than a design thing, because I was trying to fit a rectangle into a square, and
Right.
I had to make it a square, and that's how I did it. So
And sometimes you'll see this come up because companies are using logos that they find on the internet. And so one company will have the same logo as another company, which generally isn't an issue if you're not in the same kind of business. But an issue recently came up where two companies had the same logo that could arguably have come from you know, what's publicly available
okay.
for the same kind of business in the same geographic area. Well, if one company has developed consumer goodwill in that logo, then it's, you know, it's arguably becomes enforceable, even though they got it from a public, you know, they got it from what's the public domain.
So that brings up this. So let's say you're doing a presentation and you need pictures and things of that nature. And it's a private presentation. It's not public. You're not going to put it on the internet or anything like that. So you go to Google and or wherever, any kind of picture site, and you sort of screenshot the images that you like and you use those in your presentation. Is that a problem?
Probably.
Really? Okay.
Because those images are copyrighted.
Right.
The copyright develops by the author of the image, so the photographer or the artist, once they create that image. You have enforceable rights. Those rights are not enforceable in court until you get a copyright registration for them, but you have rights that could be the basis for a demand letter.
So how does a copyright work? So I produce a video, or a photographer creates an image. Let's talk business, corporate, not like for a wedding or something like that, right? So it's for another business or something like that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I produce a video, or somebody takes a picture. Is that, and I own, what am I trying to say? So who owns the copyright? So for instance, when I produce a video, I go out and I shoot. It's in the contract that all the raw footage belongs to DirectLine Media, and then the company owns, or my client owns, the produced, edited, final video product, but I can use it for my marketing purposes, right? So, so is that like just inherently it's copyrighted already? Is there like steps that have to be gone through to make it officially a copyrighted work, or do I just put the C on it?
You can always put the C on it, C in a circle, on things that you own the copyright for. That's like using a TM or an SM in connection with a common law mark.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be registered.
Okay.
So if you have in your contract that your client that you're producing the video for owns the copyright to the final work, then they will own that copyright as what's called a work made for hire.
Right.
And they will own the copyright in it. They can enforce that copyright up to a point. They can send a demand letter to someone who may be infringing the video, but they really couldn't take it past that. I mean, maybe they could ask for money. They could ask for money for infringement, but they couldn't, if they needed to go to court, they wouldn't be able to bring an infringement action in court until they have the copyright registration.
How is that different than music? So somebody produces some music and they put it out there and they sell it. It's copyrighted, right?
They have copyright
They have
rights
a copyright
in it.
on it, and then somebody else uses it.
They can send a demand letter and they can ask that person to stop. They can try to get damages or royalties for that other person using, say they use the music for a presentation, or they use it during like a conference. So they're publicly sort of what's called, displaying the work of art. You can send a demand letter, but if you get to the point where you need to go to court, you need to go to the U.S. Copyright Office and get the registration before you can allege a claim for copyright infringement in court. And there was what's called a federal circuit court split on that issue, where there's different areas for federal appeals courts in the U.S. And some said you needed that registration to litigate in court, and some said you just needed the copyright application to be on file. And last year, the Supreme Court decided you need that registration. So that's what you need to do now.
Okay.
And you can get an expedited one. And I just did that process, and I got it within 10 days.
Wow.
And it cost $800
Okay.
to do an expedited application. So the better thing to do is file to get that copyright registration as soon as you can, so that if an infringement issue comes up, you already have the registration, and you can go to court if you need to.
Like, I don't know who else would use, because the videos obviously, in a lot of photographs, they're specific to a person or a company. So I don't know who else could use them anyway. But music, I guess, is different. But what if I produced a documentary about, I don't know, anything. It wasn't specific. It was about a topic. It was about, bluefish in the Long Island Sound. I don't know if I do that. Might be a good topic.
That's copyrightable because you're creating a work, a video, a documentary about a certain subject matter.
What if somebody shares it? They don't want to make money from it. What if somebody takes it and downloads it and then uploads it on their YouTube channel?
That could be considered an infringement.
And they just want to say, hey, check this out. This is the only way I know how to share it.
Because they're copying your work.
Yeah. But they could just share it they could share a link, obviously, on social. That doesn't matter.
They can share the link to your work.
Right, but they can't.
That's fine.
But
the actual reposting it onto their website, that's grounds for an infringement action.
Yeah.
I mean, and then there's arguments that they could potentially be protected from liability under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. But, yeah.
How long does, because now this whole thing with public space or whatever it's called, right? So how long does something have to be on the internet for it to be deemed public, whatever? Like Happy Birthday now, right? Isn't
that's in the public domain now.
So,
I mean, okay, so the term you're asking. So
yeah.
if you have a registered copyright, the term is like, for example, it differs for different things, but for example, you could have something for your life plus like 70 years. The life of the author plus 70 years, I believe, is one of the time periods. And I believe if it's a work made for hire, it's 95 years from the date of registration.
Wow.
So it goes for a very long time before it's in the public domain.
Because wasn't there something weird that you couldn't sing Happy Birthday because somebody thought it was...
Oh, wait, you're right. Maybe Happy Birthday isn't in the public domain.
Because all these years, right, everybody sings it. But then
Yeah.
I heard about that, I don't know, it was maybe 10 years. DirectLine Media didn't exist yet, so it was at least 6 or 8, whatever years ago.
I can't remember how that came out.
Right? You remember that, though?
I do remember that being an issue. Yeah.
So what does that mean? Let's say it's not in the public domain. Let's just say. How does that affect birthday parties?
I think it's the same. I think it's the same thing as someone doing karaoke in a bar, and the bar doesn't have a license to publicly perform that musical recording.
Oh, that's really interesting.
So then whoever owns the rights to that musical recording that's being played in the bar can come and ask that bar to stop and seek royalties.
But you can buy like karaoke CDs.
Yes, because I think when they do that, like you're talking about individually or a company?
So you buy let's say a person. You go to the toy store or wherever you get the karaoke machine, and it comes with a bunch of CDs.
I think the manufacturer of the karaoke machines has a license to sell the machine with these musical recordings. So they have sort of taken care of that process.
For use in somebody's private home. You couldn't buy it and then go to a bar and have karaoke night.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, you wouldn't be able. Then that could be a potential issue.
So all these bars with karaoke, they have to register How do they do
They
that?
seek license rights. I mean, they're supposed to be seeking license
Supposed to
rights to publicly perform the music in their bar.
Do you think every bar does that?
No.
Do you think what's the percentage you think that don't? I'm just curious.
I have no idea.
Really? Because there's a lot of karaoke out there, and
I
I didn't think of that. Yeah, because a radio, right, to play the song has to have whatever deal they have.
Yes.
Right. So karaoke is kind of the same thing. That's
Yes.
interesting. I never thought of that.
Or any music that's played in a bar, really. I would believe they would need to seek some sort of blanket license
About
for a package of music that they play in a bar. I
Like
mean,
a-
if they're playing the radio in a bar, if you just have the radio on, I think that's probably okay. I don't know. I really haven't looked into this issue in a lot of detail, but if you have the machine, if you have a jukebox
Yeah,
or a
that was my next
karaoke
question.
machine,
Like a jukebox. Like I love playing the jukebox. Right.
I believe that a bar would need, because they're not using it for personal use. They're
Actually making money on it, or somebody's making money on the jukebox from that music, right? 'Cause
I mean, they're
jukeboxes are
using the
expensive now.
music, and I mean, they're publicly performing the music in use in connection with their business. So
So how about this? So there's a place we go in Newington. They have, and a lot of places have them, but it's a jukebox, and it's a jukebox sort of. I don't know where the music is stored. I don't know if it's stored on the actual machine or if it's stored in a cloud and it's streamed, because you can get on your phone and you download the app and you connect with the bar that you're in or restaurant, right? Have you seen this?
I
don't know.
haven't.
Yeah. So
I think because I have 3 small kids, so I'm not
okay. So
out that much.
it's a little dangerous because you can load, just like any app, you can load up, the app with, your credit card or whatever, and you put on $20-$30, and now every time you want to play music, you just go and it dips into your thing, right? So I'm wondering who would have to pay the rights to play that music. Would it be the jukebox company? So you log on to the app,
Okay.
and then
You're at a bar?
so you don't have to be. You're
Okay.
driving around in your car, let's just say, and you say, hey, I want to use this jukebox app because it's really cool. Let's see what place around here has one. So you open the app,
Oh.
and it finds your location, and it says, well, Joe's Place and whatever, Lime Bar and Grill has one. I don't think they have a jukebox. So you go, you're like, oh, let's go to that place. That's cool. So in other words, it's not just the restaurant's jukebox. It's sort of almost regional or national.
Interesting. They probably, if the restaurant has that capability, they've probably paid some kind of royalty in order to have the privilege of offering that service to consumers.
Okay. So maybe in part of the subscription they pay to the jukebox company, and they take care of all that stuff.
Exactly.
You got to get out and try one of these jukebox things because it's really cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be our, once this
Yeah.
COVID-19 slows down, maybe we'll try that.
Yeah. No, I like it. Yeah.
Or,
It's all touch screen too. You can go up and find all the different music.
I know, because jukeboxes now really aren't the same as they were. They're all electronic now.
All electronic.
Yeah.
And what's cool, if you pay extra, like somebody's there before you and they got a whole bunch of songs lined up, but you really want to hear your song, you can pay extra, and then your song jumps to the top of the list.
Whereas with old jukeboxes, that would never
Can't do
happen.
that. So I've never done that
How?
because I'm a cheapskate. I don't want to do that. But
I don't even think
Yeah.
my kids would know what a jukebox
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
I have 2.5-year-old twins. I guess they're almost
Wow.
2 3/4 at this point. They're boy, girl, and a 6.5-year-old boy.
Wow, you're busy.
Yeah.
And you're working from home too.
Yes,
That's
we
exciting.
have a nanny.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and my husband's also working from home.
Yeah.
It's not that distracting during the day,
Okay.
and now that the weather is nice, they can go outside.
Right.
But if you need a snack in the kitchen and they're in there, it's
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah, so I had my office at my house ignore the trains that go by. For the first, I don't know, 3 years, 2 years, 3 years, and I had to get out. So then I sort of kind of went back home to try to do a lot of my work, and that's why I left, because there's too many distractions. I can't get anything done. I can't get anything done during the day. Like at nighttime, I can, because it's quiet and stuff. But during the day, no, there's no way.
Really?
No, there's no way I can get anything
I
done.
have an office upstairs, and I can close the door.
Okay.
And in my last job, I was working at home 2 or 3 days a week. So I got used to that, and then now with my new job, I mean, everybody's working from home now, but my office is in Massachusetts, and I go up
Right.
once when the office is open. I go up once a month, and so I am primarily working
Yeah.
from home now. So I've had to get used to it, and it is nice. There's no commute. You can go out and
That
run
is
errands
nice.
in the middle of the day. You can do laundry. And so as long as you have someone to watch your
Yeah.
kids who sort of understands that, maybe they need to distract the kids if you have to run down to the kitchen and grab a snack or run out the door, then it's fine. It's been working out fine.
So you're able to because I would start early in the morning before anybody else was awake. I'd do
Yeah.
a little kind of busy work type stuff, get that out of the way. Then I'd have break with breakfast, whatever, blah, blah. Then I'd go back to work and I'd take a really long lunch break.
Yeah.
Walk the dog, whatever, and then I'd knock off early, and then I would finish up at night. So my work days were actually really, really long, just
Yeah.
with lots of breaks.
Right.
So this works out better because I get here and then I just keep going until I'm done, and
Right.
then so my work day it's probably the same amount of hours, but they're all just put together instead of all broken apart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
do
know.
you find that working?
No, because I've just gotten to the point where, I mean, my office is my office.
Yeah.
And when I'm up there, I'm working. And I mean, yes, there's distractions in terms of if someone's knocking on the door
Sure.
or there's someone really upset downstairs and you feel like you need to go downstairs and kind of help the nanny.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I don't really feel like it's that distracting to me. I'm sort of
Okay.
used to it at this point. I think it's more of an advantage potentially for working parents to be at home because I save an hour. I was commuting into Hartford before this, so I save an
Yeah.
hour of my day or more on commuting. And so I can spend that time now potentially networking
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
add
definitely.
that into my day.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
And I can just throw the laundry in or run to the supermarket rather than having to worry about doing that when I get home.
Yeah.
So I find it to be, and you get to, even if you're not with your kids during the day, you can still hear them. So you kind of feel like you're still
That's true.
part of it.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I mean, and with this COVID-19 issue, I think a lot of companies now are going to be seeing that it can be done.
Yeah.
And workers can still be productive, and it's definitely going to be the trend for the future.
In your office in Massachusetts, does everybody have an office space? Is there cubicles? Is it just one giant open space? I don't know how many people.
Yeah,
are in your office.
there are how many people are there now? It's I think 4 or 5 people on one floor and usually 2 to 3 on the second floor. So we have, it's actually like the building you're in, kind of like an
Okay.
old warehouse. And everyone has their own office. And then there's one room with sort of shared space so that when I'm up there, that's where I work. But it's a
Gotcha.
very big room.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So totally capable of socially distancing. But everyone has their own office, even all of our paralegals, all of our admins.
Yeah.
So it should be okay when we go back.
Because I heard that dividers or cubicles might be coming back.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody gets any work done in just one giant room with no. I mean, I couldn't function that way.
In my last job, there was already divide. I mean, the senior paralegals and the attorneys were in offices, but the admins and junior paralegals were out in this big room with
Yeah.
everyone had it. But everyone has a cubicle, but it's still.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much that's really gonna stop.
Yeah. I guess.
I don't.
Everybody
yeah.
has their. It's weird because, so you go to. It's big in New York City, so I go to New York and do work down there every once in a while. So you go into these big office buildings and everybody's sitting at these huge tables, working away,
Right.
and they all have their earbuds in or their whatever
Yeah.
headphones, and they're working away. So it's meant to be sort of a little bit more collaborative.
Yeah.
Yet everybody's
It's-
sort of zoned out, which I guess.
It's the same thing I think at my
Yeah.
husband's office.
Yeah.
I mean, no one had an office. So he was out, he's an in-house attorney and he was out with everybody. And if they had a private call, they had rooms where you could go in and have a
Right.
private
Yeah.
phone call.
These little phone booths or little
But
cubbies or something.
I'm not sure what his company is going to plan to do
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been good here. So, So I'm the only one, obviously, in this room. In the building, there was me, there was a fellow 2 doors down. He was essential, and then there was the brewery, which is the front of the building. And that's it. Nobody else. So for a couple of months, I wouldn't come here. I had regular hours, but not as long as, like in January, February or something. But yeah, I'd come in, there'd be nobody in the building. I'd be here all by myself.
Yeah, that's
sometimes.
nice.
Yeah, it was kind of nice.
I mean, even though, if everyone has their own office space, there's still the shared bathroom space, the kitchen space.
True, yeah.
And my office building is very similar to this building. So it's in a warehouse that's been converted to a lot of offices. So there's all different kinds of businesses in the same building. So, you're still coming in and out the same door and going up and down the same stairs.
Yeah.
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 I don't know.
No.
It's going to be a whole new world. But at this
yeah,
point, we're not planning to reopen our office, at least for the next 4 weeks.
So were you in the first? Were you in the first wave though? That eligible?
We just made the decision to close. So the same week that everyone else basically closed, like that week of May 17th.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of Zoom calls and stuff with clients and things like that? You've been doing a lot of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I probably have at least 3 Zoom calls a day.
Wow.
And then we used Zoom as a law firm before this, mainly to communicate amongst the employees.
Yeah.
But I think we've internally have been using it more than before because now everybody's home.
Sure.
And now everyone else is home. So I think it's actually easier to have a Zoom call because everyone's sitting in their home office rather than that shared space, for example, where it would be very difficult to have a Zoom call. So that's been kind of nice. But then, I feel like people are starting to get Zoom burnout.
Do you take into account what your Zoom background looks like? Like, do you set up your office so it's right?
Wait, you saw my post on LinkedIn about that, didn't you? Did you like?
Were you you were looking out a window?
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget what your background looks like, but that's awesome view. Yeah.
My background, the walls of my office are brown. I mean, okay, so we haven't painted that room since we moved in, and it was used as my 2 to 3 day a week office before. Now it's my full-time office. So the walls are brown and there's no overhead light. Okay. So there's lights. My desk is completely lit up. I mean, there's a window and lamps. But when you're looking at my Zoom background, it's dark.
Yeah.
It's not dark for me.
Yeah.
So I posted something on LinkedIn the other day because the view in front of me is beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's really nice.
But when you're just looking at me, so no, I probably should take it more into account.
Yeah.
Now,
you could you could just maybe I would maybe figure out a way to just throw some light on the background,
I'll put a lamp back there maybe.
I don't know if I'd put a lamp because then the lamp would be in the shot, but you'd have to put light on the wall.
Aren't people talking about the ring lights?
Yeah, there's a lot of those, which are kind of good if you do a lot of that kind of stuff. But I mean, at least you have the light in front of you. There's a lot of people still with windows behind them.
Yeah, I know.
Like right behind them.
Right. And I don't like the virtual backgrounds because it just looks really funny.
Yeah, I don't like those either.
Do you watch What Happens Live on Bravo?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't have Bravo.
Okay, this guy Andy Cohen hosts a show called Watch What Happens Live, and it features, he does it every night, and it features the, celebrities or, created celebrities who are on reality TV shows on Bravo. And he's filming from his apartment in New York because no one can film right now.
Sure.
And he has it's probably a virtual background, but because it's a professionally produced show, it doesn't look like he's not fading into the background. You know how people fade into their background on virtual? So it's working for him, for example, but I think most people don't have the tools to make that look
No.
right.
I saw one yesterday. It was just his head. Like there's no bot. It was a head floating.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool effect. I'm sure that's not what he was going for, but
I feel like though, our mutual friend Eric Bergen,
yeah.
his I always am impressed by his virtual
his looks
background.
good.
Yeah.
Well, the key is to have, doesn't have to be green like that wall, but it's to have a solid color, like really not a lot of texture or shadows or
and
anything.
not a dark solid color.
Probably not really too dark. Probably not dark, no.
So another funny story about a Zoom background is, so my husband is in our guest room as he's working remotely, and that we have wanted to paint it in the past, but then, just started having kids and it became a low priority.
Sure.
So it's this electric blue color,
Okay.
and that's his Zoom background.
Okay. Nice.
And he's gotten made fun of so much to the point where he's like, I'm going to take a day off and paint. I have to paint this room.
Yeah,
So he's
that's
either
funny.
going to paint it, and he's also been calling around to try to find professional painter because he's been finding he hasn't had time to do it.
Yeah.
So it's getting to the point where,
Well, he just has to paint. All he has to do is paint the spot right behind
I mean,
him.
he's just going to,
Right.
the room needs to be painted because we also adjusted the height of a window in the room. So
Okay.
it needs to be done.
Yeah, kids take up a lot of time, and so does work. Yeah.
And he used to do a lot of the painting in our house before we had kids. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, when you're working all week and you want to spend time with the kids on the
Yeah.
weekend, and with 3 kids, if he's painting a room all day, then it's a lot of work for me, for
Yeah.
example, to
Yeah,
be
absolutely.
with the 3 kids from 6 a.m. till 7:30 at night.
It's a lot,
Yeah.
especially with twins at 2.5. Oh my God.
They're not that bad.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's busy.
The terrible twos don't start until they're 3, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
They're really good kids. But yeah, I was talking to someone yesterday with a 3.5-year-old, and she's just like,
Yeah.
she does not listen at all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yep, that's what's coming. Because they listen now.
Yeah.
Like, oh, get off that thing. Okay.
Yeah.
But our
Yeah.
6.5-year-olds,
Yeah. The whole different
that's
story.
another story.
Oh my God. So our oldest is a girl. She's 25, and the 4 years she was in high school, her and her mom were just constant. Every day, it was a battle about whatever. I don't care. Pick a topic,
Right.
And then high school ended. She graduated high school, and then it was like it just like switch. It just stopped. I'm like, and I was always in the I was in the middle. But yeah, high school ended, and then switch turned off. Like everything's good now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I probably was like that too. Though I
Yeah.
feel like I always sort of gave my mom a hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I wish I had done that less.
Well, my daughter has a 6-year-old daughter, so I have a 6-year-old granddaughter. So they're really good. They have a great relationship, but we'll see what happens when. I'm kind of bummed out. She was having a really good time in kindergarten. I mean, really doing well, making really good friends and stuff, and
It was same for us.
Yeah,
My
it's
son's
rough.
in kindergarten.
Yeah, that's hard. It's hard for the kindergarten people that are just starting school, whether it be kindergarten or maybe first year in high school, that kind of thing, sort of a milestone thing, or the folks that are graduating.
I know.
That's really hard. Like the people who are in the weird, odd grades, like third,
Right.
It's still hard, but it's not like this milestone where things are really radically different.
Yes.
And-
Though I'm getting the sense that the seniors are okay with this
Maybe.
because they can stay up later. They don't have to get up at 6 a.m.
That's
to
true.
get on the bus. So I think
Yeah.
there's I'm just getting that sense from my neighborhood when I can still hear
Yeah.
the teenagers out at 11 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night when I'm getting ready for bed. I can hear them outside in the open window, and I'm like, you're probably kind of glad they don't have to get up at 6 a.m. But yes, no graduation, no prom, it was their last year in sports.
That's got to be hard. The last year in sports has got to be tough, especially if you're, because a lot of these kids, they want to play in college, right? And so now they can't play.
Well, they probably can.
Again, they can. Well, but they're not. I guess
Everyone's
I don't
going
know.
to be in the same boat
Everybody's
like
gonna be in the
freshman
same,
year.
yeah, everybody's gonna be in the same boat. I
If
guess.
they
Yeah. It's just
if they go
I couldn't
back.
Imagine, yeah, I just couldn't imagine. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're probably right. Some kids probably don't care, and others are a little bummed out, but they're whatever.
My niece and nephew one of them's going to be a freshman and one of them's going to be a junior in the fall, and they still don't know.
Yeah.
You know, one of them's at UPenn and one of them's going to GW. They just still don't know if they're going to have online classes or not.
Yeah.
Or be on the campus.
A friend of mine teaches at a community college, and I spoke to his wife about a few weeks ago, and she's like, yes, Kevin has to prepare for online classes. They don't know. They should just prepare for classes to be online in the fall.
Yeah, they might do like a combination.
Yeah.
My niece but she's gonna go live on campus this summer. So,
Yeah.
because she's working in a lab there,
Okay.
and she wants to be there. I mean, she's a junior. It's hard to stay
Yeah.
at home when you're a junior in college.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know Eric Feeney said, because he's a second grade here in West Hartford, and the school board or whatever has already talked about when we do go back, snow days will
Yes.
be, I don't know what he called it, but you'd go to school at home virtually, which I think is a great idea.
That is a great idea, because I listened to that podcast, and I know we talked about starting a few weeks earlier.
Yeah.
And doing that remote learning on snow days,
Yeah.
or doing, half a day. You have some students half a day, you have the other. But to be able to save those snow days and have that extra time,
Yep. Yeah.
and still get out on a
And
reasonable,
still get out.
a
Yeah,
reasonable
and not
day.
have another week and a half or something tacked on to the end of the
Right.
year. I
'Cause
think
you don't
that's
know,
great.
We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, you don't know.
It's just so strange.
Yeah, it really is strange.
And people are posting these pictures of their kids on the first day of school and then like the last day of remote learning. I mean, we had no idea when the school year started that it was
idea.
going to end up like this. It's just so strange.
Yeah. But I guess I was thinking about it, every once in a while, right, you got to have sort of a bump in the road or a
Yeah.
giant pothole or something, right, to kind of keep you alert.
Yes.
This is a tough one, but
Yes.
I think I don't want to say it woke a lot of people up, but I think it really sort of, put people into, second gear.
Right.
And it's like, all right, and I think it invigorated a lot of people too, to sort of find the joy in what they do, of the challenge of, because you're not restarting your business, but you're having a hard time, and so you have to adapt. And
Right.
I know part of the fun of having a business is adapting, and the challenge and figuring out how you're gonna pivot and do whatever you want to do. Like, you have a great idea, how am I going to get that to market?
Exactly.
So I think a lot of folks, after the initial shock, have embraced it.
Exactly. I agree with you. And I know there's a lot of negative impacts
Yeah.
to this, but there will be some positive ones in
Yeah.
terms of people maybe traveling less.
Yep.
If maybe that's what they wanted, because they can do something over Zoom rather than getting on a plane.
Yep.
Or being able to work from home more. Just people making sure that their remote systems are more up to date,
Yep.
so that employees have that option to work from home.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be a lot of sort of positive benefits.
Hugely
people
positive
just
stuff.
sort of thinking outside the box.
Yeah. I think we've lost. We're so driven in Connecticut and in the country of just working and making money and working and being productive and moving forward all the time. I think maybe some of us forgot that the reason we work so hard is to enjoy life, right? And we forgot about the enjoyment part.
But there has been some
Yeah.
negative aspects, I think, in terms of working from home, because managers feel like they can contact their employees at all times of the day, because
Yeah.
they know that they can just go up to their computer and work. So I've heard that as being one sort of negative effect of
Okay.
it.
So they're not adhering to 9 to 5 or whatever the regular
Yeah.
hours were. Yeah.
I mean, for me, that's been fine. But
Yeah.
this is just what I've been hearing from other
Sure.
people.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I've tried to make it a point lately to not be unavailable, because I'm always available, But for instance, on Sundays, I mean, I'll sometimes come to the office if I have something to but I don't really like returning emails. I don't want to do that unless it's really important.
Right.
You know, I'll let that can wait for the work day.
Right.
Like I really need that just not working stuff. I think that's really important to have a full day off, not a day off you're at home and like, oh, let me check my email real quick. Like
Right.
that's.
Oh, so are you not looking at your phone at all? Like, are you not looking at your email?
I try to make it a point not to really look at. I mean, maybe a couple times a day, but I'll see something and I won't necessarily respond.
Right.
I'll just say, oh, all right, that's something I got to check on tomorrow, and I'll put it aside.
I will keep an eye on my email, but I usually won't respond until Monday. And part of that is because I'm with 3 small kids all day, and when the youngest ones are napping, I want to be napping too. I'm not going to be working. Like I just don't have the time or the energy on the weekend. So I think having small kids is good in that respect.
Yeah, you're supposed to nap when they nap. Yeah.
Exactly.
You're not supposed to do dishes and stuff.
But I'm so exhausted by then. It's like it's not even a choice, really.
Yeah. I know.
So yeah,
that's good. Yeah. No, our youngest is 19, so it's been a while, but.
Yes. I mean, so you have time on the weekends to relax.
We do.
We don't really ever. The only time we relax is, after 7:45 at night.
So we walk around our house because there's only one child now living at home. Not a child. Our oldest son, not a child anymore, living at home. So and he's going to be moving out probably within the month. So it's like, what are we doing? It's been, we spent a lot of time together the past couple of months because I've been home more.
Right.
And it's been really nice. I've gotten a lot of stuff done, and
I'm a little jealous, I gotta say.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not gloating. I'm just.
There was that time before we had kids where we could do whatever we wanted, sleep as late as you want, go to the gym.
Yeah.
Like I'd take a run and then I would go to the gym.
Yeah. Yeah. So we started backwards. So we had children right away, like right off the bat. So we didn't have a lot of that time. So now we're making up for it on the back end.
Yeah. We're 19, 18 years away. I don't know. I guess less than that now. 16 years away from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
which everyone says goes fast, right?
It goes crazy fast. It's like amazing. Like you don't feel it like when you're in it, but then at the end, you're like, where the heck did time go?
And then I think, oh my gosh, like how old am I going to be when when they're going to be in college?
I know.
Yeah.
It's nuts. I try not to think about it.
I know.
Just enjoy it.
I do enjoy the kids, and I tell them to stop growing because they're already getting to the point where they're too big to hold.
Yeah.
For a long amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I gotcha. When I was working at Channel 3, there was this guy, my kids were still young, and he says, spend time with the children. He says, don't just go, make sure you go to their events, their concerts, their whatever it is. I'm like, yeah, well, but I'm working overtime, I'm trying to make money, so I didn't miss everything, but I missed a lot of stuff. Yeah. And looking back, did I really need like the overtime? I probably could have survived, kind of thing. But at the moment, you're providing, right? You're trying to.
Right.
So it's a balance for sure.
And your job you couldn't have done from home.
No, I couldn't do my job from home. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's another advantage to working from home. That if there's something in the middle of the day, like a teacher conference, or you could be a room parent, you can take an hour out of the day to go do that.
Yeah. I mean, my hours, sometimes I work second shift, sometimes I worked first shift, sometimes then I had a few years I worked smack dab in the middle of the day, so that was the worst hours I had because it was in the middle of the day.
Right.
Like, I liked going in really early and getting out sort of early to mid-afternoon, or having the entire morning and then working second shift. And then it was better to be home in the afternoon because that's when more stuff happens, obviously, concerts and things like that.
Yeah.
But,
that's a good benefit.
Now I can work whenever I want.
I should start working at like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And so I can be done.
What time do you get up in the morning?
It's usually around 6. The kids start waking up, so we'll get out of bed maybe around like 6:15, 6:30, and then I'll start working at 7:30.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be nice. At least in the summer.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll shift my hours.
I was thinking about just working 4 days a week in the summer, but it's hard when that would never happen. like maybe I'll take Fridays off, but I would get up in the morning and I would work and I'd do stuff on Fridays, and I wouldn't be able to separate myself. I already know right now. Like when we go away, like I need to go away on vacation if I take time off. I can't take a
Yeah.
staycation. Like I work,
Yes.
you know?
It's hard to do that.
Yeah. need to
I
go
get
away.
out on Fridays whenever the twins wake up. I stop working on Fridays. So I have that.
Yeah.
So
good.
that's about 3:00.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, I'm knocking off early today. We're going to the beach.
Right.
I told you that. Yeah. We're out.
Which
Like it.
beach are you going to go to?
Probably Hammonasset. I'm thinking that's a pretty big beach, so I'm hoping that we'll get there and it won't be full. I don't know what their capacity is, and I don't know what are they doing, half capacity or limited capacity now. I don't know what they're doing, so hopefully we'll get there because we have a whole plan of
Yeah.
food and drinks and things
It's going
like
to be
that.
busy there
Probably,
today because
probably.
kids aren't in school and
It's Memorial Day weekend.
it's
And
Memorial Day.
shouldn't they be learning at home though?
But not on the Friday before Memorial Day weekend. And companies are still probably going to let their employees
Yeah,
off.
because it's a really nice
early.
day out too.
I know. My husband should probably be done early today.
Yeah,
So maybe he'll be done by 3:00 when everybody's awake.
yeah, good. Don't go to the beach because we're gonna take your spot.
No, I think that if we were to do that, we would probably go on an off day.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking, yeah, Fridays, the Friday before Memorial is probably not an off day.
No.
Probably not an off day, but yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna chance it. We're gonna go for it anyway and see what happens. You know, we don't have a plan B really, so. we'll
I
see
feel
what
really bad for my kids because we don't usually do beach days. I don't
Yeah.
know why that's the case, but
Yeah.
I always want to. And then the weekend I don't know. The kids have to take their naps. They're on a routine. So
Yeah.
it's hard to kind of do that stuff right now.
And the beach is so far away. So we were on the
Yeah.
shoreline for a long time.
Okay.
So it's sort of like we just,
Right.
you know, but yeah, I could see that with kids because that's an hour drive.
Right.
Yeah, it would foul up the day. For
And
sure.
they don't sleep. Our youngest don't sleep in the car. Like
Okay.
our older son used to do that. They won't. Which is great.
Yeah.
They've been trained to sleep in their cribs.
Good.
But yeah, so they basically wouldn't get a nap that day.
Yeah.
Which maybe they'd sleep on the ride back.
If they're tired enough, they'd
Maybe.
probably,
I
you
don't
know,
know.
after all the
You'd think.
salt and water and sun, they'd probably
You'd
conk
think.
out. You'd
but
think.
we'll
You'd
see.
hope.
Yeah.
You know.
But we do take at least a week vacation at a lake house in
Oh,
New
good.
Hampshire.
Oh, nice.
That I've been going to since I was a kid. Our very good friends, or my very good friends, own it, and we rent from them for a week.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we jump around. We'll do beach houses, and then we'll do in Rhode Island, and then we'll go up to Maine, and every once in a while do a lake house in Maine. And
That's
we didn't do
nice.
anything last year.
A lake house or a beach house in Maine?
A lake house in Maine.
Nice.
Yeah,
Because the ocean's freezing up there,
freezing cold.
even in August.
But you'd be surprised how busy the beaches are in
Yeah.
Maine.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're beautiful, but
Right.
they're freezing. Water's freezing cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, no, we really like Maine a lot. It's a lot of fun to go up there, and we're
Yes.
missing it. So we were going to go up. My father-in-law lives up there, so we want to take a week or at least a handful of days and go up there and spend some time. But went to the Visit Maine website or whatever it is.
Oh, you can't
and,
go there.
And it's quarantine. If you go in, you got to be quarantined 14 days.
Yes.
I'm like, well, I can't do that.
I know. And I feel so bad because my husband's best friend lives up there,
Yeah.
and he can't go visit him now. And
Yeah.
he hasn't visited him since he had moved there and got a new house.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So
rough.
It's just longer that
It's just it's rough. It'll pass, but
Maine
yeah.
Maine
Yeah.
is one of the tougher
Yeah.
states.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because there's this place in Portland we go and Jay's Oyster Bar. See, I don't eat oysters in Connecticut anymore because I've had too many bad experiences. Not like sick or anything, just not good oysters.
Yeah.
But Maine, oh man, I tell you, those
Thirsty.
so good, right?
Yes.
So I'm dying here.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Well, I guess
like-
could be worse.
It's like when you're pregnant and you can't have a sushi and you
Right.
have to wait till. So that's
Yeah.
now you know how we feel.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right. All right. I read that somewhere else too, something like that, like what women have experienced in the past that how men are. It's been funny memes and stuff like that. So.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't. There's one I'm thinking of. I can't specifically think what it is, so I'm not going to try to guess. But.
Were you upset that barber shops couldn't open this week?
No. 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 I don't. Well, no. I didn't have any plans of running out and getting my hair cut.
Okay. My husband didn't either.
Yeah.
But although he's like desperate.
I mean, I'm bummed out that they couldn't open. I feel bad for the owners.
Yes.
Like, I'm bummed out about that.
Yes.
Like, me personally, I don't care. I can wait. It doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
my wife did a quick trim, and it's fine. But, yeah, I feel bad because I read this one thing. This woman spent, a day or two cleaning and sanding whatever she was doing, and then she was told she can't open. So that's,
And they
it's a drag.
rebooked everybody.
Yeah, and they rebooked everybody, and now, yeah.
I mean, I didn't actually get rebooked yet, but I know that there was some places, and I'm not desperate to go in.
Yeah.
So I just want to get something on the books
Sure.
for some, at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt really bad because my hairstylist had messaged everyone and said,
Yeah.
we're going to open on May 20th. And then she had to message everyone again and say,
So, yeah. Gotta wait. What is it, like 3 weeks now? I think that's government said?
June 1st or June 2nd, I think I saw.
Okay.
And then I saw that gyms can open on June 20th.
Okay.
But do you have to wear masks?
I don't know. Barbershop, I think so. I was reading.
Yes, but can you imagine wearing a mask while you're working out? I don't think I'd be able to do that.
I don't know how you would breathe properly.
I don't
Yeah, I don't
even
know.
know if that's possible.
I don't know if that's possible either.
Especially thinking about going through a spin class with a mask on.
Yeah.
I think
You
people
can't.
would be passing out.
Yeah, because you're not getting proper oxygen.
Right.
But if they space everybody out enough, wouldn't that
Maybe.
be?
Yeah, I'm a member of Cycle Bar in Canton.
Okay.
And sometimes when, we'd be doing the elbow things on the bike,
Yeah.
you'd hit the elbow of the person next to you.
Okay,
so
yeah.
they're going to have to,
Yeah, they got to space
Really,
you guys out.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
which is going to be interesting because some of those classes were sold out.
Yeah.
You'd have 50 people in there, and they're going to have to reduce maybe the class to 25. That's going to be a lot
Yeah,
of
that's
people
another.
that are.
That's another obstacle. Is you can open, but to half capacity or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
at that point, are you making money? Are you breaking even? Are you losing money?
I guess
if they're-
well, that's true. Because I was thinking at least it's better to be, serving people, but then you could potentially be losing money.
Yeah. So.
I
don't
would think
know.
it'd be better than not because at least people are maintaining their memberships.
Yeah, I think as long as if you have sort of, okay, so I do this for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then I can bring in more people.
Maybe.
Maybe if you have that kind of plan where you can budget or whatever, I don't know.
I just see the social distancing thing going on until we get a vaccine.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, so do I. I wonder how long the mask thing is though. That's hard to wear to go to the grocery. I mean, I don't know. It's really not a big deal, but I'd rather not wear a mask
I know. I think
to go
most
to the,
people
to go
feel
to go to the
same
grocery
way.
store. So I just wonder how long that's gonna last.
I don't see that going away
Till
for a
vax-
while.
yeah, long
I
time,
think
right?
at this point people are just used to it. I mean,
Yeah.
so at the beginning, in March, I'd be at the supermarket and there'd be 1 or 2 people in a mask, and
Yeah.
it'd be kind of awkward.
Yeah.
You remember that feeling
Yeah.
from March?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And then more people started doing it, and then it was required.
Yeah.
So then it was okay. Now it's just second nature.
Yeah. You always have
It's
it with
just
you.
funny that shift that happened within 2
Yeah.
months.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Different world, but I don't want to say it's the new norm because I don't want to say that
Well,
but who knows?
it's
Right
the
now
new
it's
temporary norm
right,
anyway.
there we go. Yeah, right now it's kind of normal, but hopefully we'll be able to change things up. But things could always be worse, right? I mean, things could always be worse.
When I
so-
came into this building this morning, I knew I was just going to be seeing you, and I was fine with that. But then I
Yeah.
walked into the building, and I was like, "Oh, should I have a mask on?"
Yeah.
And I felt funny not having
Not
the mask
having one
on.
on, yeah. Well, it's funny. So I said earlier, not a lot of people were here, right, for the past couple of months. So Wednesday, when we opened up, I came in kind of early and doing my thing, and then I had to leave to go to the car part, and I come back, and it was like, there's all these people in the building. What the heck is going? Why are all these people here? And they all have masks on and things like that. And I'm like, what are all these people doing here? Like, oh, it's 20th. Like it didn't even. I was like, oh, okay, all right. So
Yeah.
I hurried back to my office. And, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Right.
I forgot it got busy all of a sudden. I was like, I mean, it wasn't like packed, but you know, there's a lot of people in the building. Like all the shop owners were back and, you know, cleaning up and getting ready for, you know, to start doing some business. So
I kept going to my chiropractor's office too in Avon throughout. They stayed open.
Yeah.
They were taking everyone's temperature when you came in, and
yeah,
they started wearing masks, and
yeah,
so
Cool.
that
We'll see
that
what
worked
happens.
out just fine.
yeah. We adapt, right? Like we said earlier, right? You
Yeah.
just you figure out a way. It'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
This was good.
We
I
could
really
talk all
enjoyed- We
day.
could talk all day long. So, really cool what you know about brands and branding and registering and trademarks, and I definitely learned some stuff today. So,
Good. I'm glad.
why don't you, for everybody out there, if somebody's interested in some more information or reaching out to you, how would they get a hold of you?
They can go to our website at www.sandsip.com.
I love that.
It's sandsip.com.
Yeah, it's cool.
Or they can send me an email. My name again is Jamie Sternberg, so it's jsternberg at sandsip.com.
Sandsip.com, yeah.
And then I'm also on LinkedIn as well.
Yep, cool. Yeah, and if you go to your website, I think you're right there. You're listed, so
Yeah,
they can
and
find
it's
you.
again, the law firm is called Saunders and Silverstein.
Saunders and Silverstein. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Sandsip, I love that. You should register that.
Sandsip.
Right.
Our logo is registered. I know that.
Yeah, I
It's
would
a
hope
really
so,
cool
yeah.
logo.
Yeah.
Of course it's registered, right?
Right. I would hope so, yeah.
We got to set an example for everyone
Yeah,
else.
That's right. You got to set an example. It's funny, though, because I don't, so I have a lot of video content. The closest thing I have to a video of, you know, DirectLine Media is like a demo reel of all the work I've done for other people. I actually don't have a video of, hey, everybody, Dave Shmoleski, DirectLine, this is what we do. I don't have one of those, which is, I don't know. I guess that's okay. I don't know. But anyway, doesn't matter. So, thanks, Jamie, for coming out and spending some time with me.
Yeah.
This was great. And
Yeah.
everybody, this is every week. So check us out. We're on YouTube, of course, and then Spotify and all over the place. So thanks a lot for coming.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
Yeah, my pleasure. We'll see you, everybody.
Okay. Bye.